We made it.
Well, man.
Episode 101 coming at you a little different. We got a whole camera crew, a new studio. We got a new company helping us produce it, and I'm excited.
This is the new and improved Kamp Podcast, baby.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. I got to be honest. I don't know why. I think it's just because there's one other person in this room.
Yeah. So we did 100 episodes.
Yeah.
With just me and you in the room, no one else.
Right.
And then 99 episodes. Episode 100 is in front of a packed marquee theater.
Right.
The day before Kamp Fest. And then now we got our boy Stevie behind the boards and we got Darren on the cameras.
Yeah, we do. And I'm
Shout
excited,
out to the
man.
homies, man.
Yeah. This is going to be it's going to be interesting. I mean, Kamp Fest, doing the episode there was scary. Like I was terrified for that one.
Well, what's funny too is that we thought that the information had been passed along before the show that they were going to be recording it for us on stage.
Yeah.
And so 20 minutes before the podcast starts, you called me because I was like on my way back to the venue.
Dude, I was the only person at the venue.
And you're like, dude, can you record the podcast? Like, they didn't know they were supposed to record it.
Yeah, we totally overlooked like everything because like the guy to film is our homie. We call him Sunboner, but he was like setting up all the cameras and stuff. And I was like, all right, cool. And then somebody comes up to me, 10 minutes before we're supposed to go on. And it's like, all right, so you guys are recording this? And I was like, I thought you guys were. And he's like, we don't have the ability to record, which is weird because every time we played a show there, like we're able to get like soundboard recording. So I was like, yeah, perfect. And so 10 minutes before we go on, I was already nervous just because it was a really heavy weekend and I was already just scared for the entire weekend. I was just like so much anxiety. And then it's like building up. There's a bunch of people there. We didn't talk at all about what we were going to like say on stage or anything. And I was just like, fuck, here we go. Like it's happening.
It was really like a true how we do the podcast. We don't even talk about it. We just do it. But it was just funny because I had to pull all my shit out of my backpack and set it up really fast. Like the moment before we were like get out on stage in front of a bunch of people. And that was also our first time literally getting on stage since everything has happened and we lost Andy. So
right.
It's kind of crazy that we even did that.
No, that was a whole dude, like the whole like even just showing up for first having to do that last minute, like who's going to record it. It was so much like just every show we've ever done. Like there's always like one thing that happens. It's like, hey, it's too hot. The laptop's overheating. What are we going to do? And we have 5 minutes to figure it out. But it was like, for me, like I had so much anxiety for these shows because it was just, it's a lot. We had never been on stage without Andy. There was so much preparation for it. And it kind of made this giant like mountain in my head where the closer the date was, the more anxiety I had. And I was just like kind of freaking out beforehand. And so I had gone to dinner with Jared Watson and like I was already like panicky kind of before. And I go to dinner. I'm like, dude, I feel fucking like weird. And then we get there. They're immediately like, hey, we're not recording. We don't know what's going on.
Were you talking to Jared about it at dinner?
A little bit. I was just kind of like usually I try to just keep it cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was definitely like internally like, fuck, I can't eat right now. Like I feel like shit. I have diarrhea energy, Diarrhea energy is like when I just have the anxiety and I just like convince myself that like I look like I
get that. I am
very
well known to decide that I actually have to poop 5 minutes before we go on stage. Yeah. And it's the nerves. That's what it is. Like I get It's not even that I'm nervous to play the show. I think just that energy of like getting prepared. It's
diarrhea energy.
It's diarrhea energy, dude. It's real.
You get it.
But I think you need that to have like preparation to perform at an elite level.
See, my biggest fear is because I get diarrhea energy so often that I'm gonna convince myself that real diarrhea is just diarrhea energy, and that I'm going to have diarrhea in like a time where I'm just like convincing myself like, no, you're fine. It's not diarrhea.
Do you know what you might be doing too? I think sometimes you might be confusing diarrhea energy with food poisoning. So like, you're in this constant battle of knowing like, am I about to perform at an elite level or did I just eat a really bad batch of oysters?
Yeah. I have food poisoning? It's so insane that how much that runs through my head every single day.
Are you still battling with the food poisoning phobia?
I've been paying a therapist like rent money every month to try to get over it, and it's getting better.
Rent money.
I was so nervous about the Kamp Fest shows, and like honestly was just like not in a great place after Andy died, and like it was scary, like probably the scariest moment of my life. So I definitely have been doing a ton of therapy, but it's been helping a lot, and like I feel like it's
great,
for the
man.
first time.
Yeah.
I'd been to like therapists in the past, and I just like felt like it was a waste of time, and I was just like I would always lie to them and like try to make myself feel better, and I just hated it. But now that like I'm the one paying and it's not my parents paying for me as a kid, you know, like I was like I really have like a mission of like I need to get through this, and like I need to be better, because like there's two paths I saw myself taking, which is like what I used to do where I would just get really fucked up and I would kind of be a mess, and the other path was like I can like do better. And I was like, do I want people to see me as somebody that like didn't take this well and like fucked my own life up because of it, or do I want to be like doing well and like moving forward and like using it as like motivation? And so it's been helping, but still get that diary energy every now and then.
Yeah, man, there really are. It's those two options. There really isn't for me after he died, there isn't that middle option. It's like you're either going to curl up into a ball and like be mad at the world and ask why this is why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to us? Or you can like really dive into it, and being able to see all the beautiful stuff. Like for me, Kamp Fest was this is the first time obviously that we've spoken after playing Kamp Fest.
Yeah.
And obviously done the podcast again or done anything kind of public. So for me, Kamp Fest just showed me so many things about life. Like that's what I got out of it. It was just this crazy, like we could do a whole podcast in the future about the preparation and how much work it took to make Kamp Fest even possible between, the first time we all got together, and I think it was 6 months after Andy died, me, you, and Tanner met at the studio, and we're just like, all right, we got to play a show for Andy. Like it's time that we like start thinking about playing a show for Andy, but none of us were ready to even play a show yet. Yeah,
that was the hardest thing. It was like we were pretty much, you had to fully commit to something that you couldn't even like fathom doing at the time. Like, because we were like, a wreck, and it only been, I think it was only like 3 or like 4 months or something since it happened, and we had to decide, hey, we're going to get on stage and we're going to play a show, and we're going to like go be in front of like the fans and talk to people and stuff again. And so having that weight of like, there's no way I'm ready, but I'm hoping that just in 6 months from now I will be. And we had to like say, and just do it.
Yeah, because we knew like, all right, we know the first show needs to be in our hometown, in front of our friends and our family, and we need to throw, Andy a massive show. But we knew that like to put on a show at the magnitude that we thought was possible, we were going to have to start planning for it before we were even ready to actually do it.
And like we didn't have a lot of time. Like it was already like we were already rushing by the time we decided to do it. In order to make it happen was like trying to work with other people's schedules and getting other bands and artists to come out and make sure like a lot of things had to go really, really right for that to work out. And like they did, luckily, but it was stressful, man. It was just a lot of like, getting with the city. Like we announced the show before we even knew who was going to be on the, and it was just like praying that everything would come together. But luckily it did. And I'm really glad we did the pre-party the night before, because it was like kind of a way to dip our toes in the water a little bit. And
it set the vibe for the weekend. Which I thought was really special.
We didn't have to like go straight out on a stage and then play a show. Like we got to go out on stage and talk, kind of get a vibe in a smaller crowd, and then the next day was like the real thing, and that was a pretty fucking surreal moment. Yeah,
man. Yeah, dude. It was such a crazy feeling for me too, because like you were kind of talking about how obviously destabilizing it is to not only lose one of your best friends, but when your best friend is also your business partner that you've been like building something with for the past, it's like 16 years.
Right.
It's like multiple, it's almost like Andy died twice.
Right. No, it's like
almost
you're
like
mourning
you're
like
losing
the loss of a family member, and then also your own career and like your own identity. And like I was like drowning, dude. At first it was just like, it's so wild because our last episode that we did before the marquee one, we were talking about like linking our identities to the band so much, and like, you know, we asked the question like, how would we be if, you know, this all ended today? And like it literally did that night, you know. And it was
2 nights.
wild.
It was like the day before Andy died.
It was the
in
night
the
of
accident.
that last studio.
Was it the day of?
Yeah, it was the day of.
That's wild.
So it's like we're having
that was
this,
the 99th episode.
Yeah, this full conversation about like what would happen if this all ended tomorrow, and it did.
And what's crazy about that too is that when we filmed that podcast, all of us were living together for an entire week in an Airbnb out in LA while we were working on new songs.
Yeah.
So like we were with Andy, like I cooked him fucking breakfast every morning because he doesn't know how to cook himself breakfast.
Yeah, we all like sat and we watched the Suns in the playoffs, and like we made him watch I Think You Should Leave.
Dude, I had such a good week.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things that, you know, I do want to get back to talking about Kamp Fest, but the things that I remember the most are like the Red Rock show.
Yeah. I mean, how wild is that?
And just the fact that we got to like spend a week together doing what we love, like
it's crazy.
It's dope.
Dude, Red Rocks, we played Red Rocks with Jizza and Sublime with Rome.
Yeah.
And that was our last show as a group. And like, how fucking crazy of a last show is that? And like Andy's family was there. Like we all had our friends there. And like, it was just like, it was fucking fun. Mm-hmm. And I was nervous for that show because like Andy didn't show up to rehearsal for it, and we were just like, this could go either horribly or it's gonna be great, and it turned out great.
Yeah.
So it was just like this crazy weird like week where we didn't know what was happening, and then we get in the studio and the studio was going awesome, and then like, you know,
man, it's crazy. It's like it's making me realize how fast life moves and how fast it changes, you know.
Yeah, it took me a long time to realize like I'm gonna be okay, because like at first it was really easy for me to just be like, my life's over, because that was my entire life. Like the band has been my entire life, and like traveling and all that, and so it's like it was really easy for me to get into like a headspace of like, I'm done, like I've got to start over, like it's done, you know. But the more that time oh my god, I'm glad that didn't hit me that.
Bro, I told you to tighten that paddle on the
I'm
back.
just glad it's not. It was hanging up like right above my head before.
Oh man, if that would have hit you in the head, that'd have been so good.
Holy shit. That's awesome.
All right, well, someone's getting fired for that. I'll tell you that much.
Yep, first episode not so great.
I'm just kidding.
It's the command strips, man.
What were we talking about?
Just
like the loss of our entire identity.
Yeah, no, it's
Sick.
just, but like I was saying, like I was saying, it's just like it was so easy to get in that headspace of like it's over, you know. But like as more time went on, and like the fans have been like crazy as far as supporting us, and you know, selling out any merch that we put out, and coming to like dude, Kamp Fest was crazy. There were so many people there.
Dude, it was the most epic. And I honestly, even when I say this, I don't think I'm biased because I was on stage. That was the most impactful, like emotionally and spiritually insane show that I've ever attended in my life. And the experience that I had on stage, I'm completely sober. I played the show completely sober, and it felt psychedelic to me how much love was in that amphitheater. I have never felt something like that in my life. And for everyone to travel across the country to come like be there for us, and like, dude, there's like people in the front row like crying. And then next thing you know, I'm like on the drum riser crying, and like just like, this is nuts, dude. Like, this is what we've created. Like, it proved to me at least, like it was easy to have those really scary thoughts after Andy died, like, oh my God, everything we've worked for is over, because he's the face of the band. He's our singer. He's the sound. We all are, but like it's Andy. It's like, you can't replace Andy. He's an irreplaceable person. And you know, that was just, it's just so intense, man.
Yeah, it was it's just the tickets, like I was always watching the ticket sales and being like, are a lot of people going to show up? And, it's like, how is it going? I was always like just worried, like, what if this, and it wasn't as big as it could have been because we didn't have much time for like advertisements, and we weren't able to get like much sponsorship. And it was scary because like we had put up, like we promoted the show with a partner, so we put up a ton of money and risk on our end. And I was just kind of like this, it was just so much had to go good for it to happen. And then like right before we went out, when I looked at the crowd, I was just like, oh my fucking God. Like
I had no idea that many people were there. Like I think I took a break from looking at the crowd, but like a couple bands before we went on.
Yeah. I didn't.
And when we walked out there, I just couldn't believe how many people showed up to be there for us. Like,
dude, I was so nervous that it was going to feel like just, all sad and bad. Like I thought it was going to be this, like, this is the last show kind of feeling. And when I was up there, it was just like, that's why I'd done so much therapy, because I was like, I want to be able to experience it. There's so many times where I have so much anxiety, or like I'm in my head about so many different things. It's like we'll play shows and I'm just completely thinking about other stuff, and I don't remember the show and I'm not there.
It's like you black out almost.
Yeah, it's kind of like you just kind of push it out. And I was like, I want to experience this. I want it to be good. And like walking out there was just fucking nuts. And like I just felt, like you said, like it was like I felt like I was fucking tripping at times. I was just like, there's so many.
I felt this pulsating, almost like this like pulsating of love from the entire amphitheater of people, because I could feel that everybody in there was captivated in a way that was not like a normal show. And we had visuals behind us, and we spent weeks preparing video content and editing. We literally were editing video up until an hour before we went on stage for the show.
And then like we were like out there setting up the photo booths and all the other stuff too. It's like, and we did like, as far as the set list, like it was like really important that we were like, we don't want it to be too heavy for too long. Like obviously there's gonna be parts where it's heavy, and like I think the show was just like a perfect it had like the nostalgia, but it wasn't like a gut punch the entire show. It was like really fun and exciting, and then really sad, and like it was just like this really like that's what felt so weird for me, was like once we walked off is when I broke down, because I was just like, I felt everything. I was like crying from being so sad, and I was crying from being so happy, and feeling like amazing of like being on stage. Like I remember like walking off and being like, there's no way I could possibly ever feel like this again. Like it was so special and incredible for us.
I know, man. I remember crying during the show because of like I wasn't it even makes me want to cry now, because it's like I was so happy that what we've done over the years like wasn't a waste, in that that Andy like really left something behind that means a lot to people and like help people.
Dude, I mean, there was people.
I'm like even right now, like I'm not crying because I'm sad. It like that makes me happy, bro. That like it touches my heart that people could show up for us like that and want to just be there for Andy's family too. And I don't know, man. It was so important to me to see like what we could achieve by working with a ton of different people, and like all the artists that flew out to be on stage with us, like the amount of people that had to come together because they wanted to be there for Andy and us and his family, and like everyone showing up together like that. It really showed me how important like the interconnectedness is of like working together with other people in your life. And it made me think like, man, if all these people showed up for me like that, like what kind of person do I want to be in the future? Like I want to show up in other people's lives and like really be there for them. And it just like taught me that. It made me, I couldn't shake that feeling after the show of just feeling so grateful that we were in the position to like have that amount of love and I don't know, dude, that just meant so much to me. Like that's why like it makes me cry when I even think about it. Yeah. It's just like, it's so special.
The other, like you said, like the members of the other bands and stuff, like immediately after Andy passed, were calling us and texting us like every day, asking how we were, like asking if we need anything, and they meant it. And like at first, I I don't like ever feeling like somebody's like pitying me or like they want to like I need help. Like I never like admitting that I need help, you know? And so once I realize like this is real and like all these people like with no strings attached want to support us and want to be there for us and love us and like, you know, and immediately everybody was like, we want to support everything you guys do in the future. And it's just this like overwhelmingly crazy thing because you feel like, oh, we don't deserve this, you know, or like this is only happening because of the circumstances. But you kind of realize like, no, this is all, you know, the fruit of like what we created over the last 15 years because of Andy. And like, I don't know, it was beautiful, man. It was like seriously the most surreal night. And like to be able like afterwards to just party with like Iration and Dirty Heads and Rome and like,
and that's what's crazy. Like you said, like, you know, all these artists are people that we've looked up to over the years and toured with, and like they were at a higher level than us. And me and you have talked about this recently, how there's always kind of been this barrier between an opening band and like a headlining band.
Yeah, there's like
and it's just like a barrier of like, it's not even them being like we're better than you. It's just like this barrier of like not really getting to know them because like, you know, we're just on different levels.
Yeah.
And when Andy died, that barrier between not only just other bands, but like other people in my life, it seemed to have shattered to where like everyone, like Kamp Fest, going back to that, it almost like just made it to where like everyone collectively understood that love is the only thing that matters. Family, your friends, the people that you love and care about. And that to me, like experiencing that on a very high level and being able to feel that and honoring Andy at the same time was the most meaningful thing that we've ever accomplished as a band.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like it said like there's just like that veil that just got lifted, and you know, it's kind of like meeting your friends for the first time again, because it's just the real love and support and like people telling you what they actually feel about you, like that you don't ever get that, where people are actually telling you like how much they fuck with you or like your music or like, you know what I mean? And it's like to just have like the kind of weird, vague thing pulled away and just being real. And like, you know, we've spent a lot of time with Jared Watson from Dirty Heads since, and Duddy as well. And like just getting to know them more as like people instead of just, you know, running into them on tour. And it's been really nice to like just feel supported and by these people that like we know Andy looked up to so much, and people that we've always like, you know, moved our business and tried to go in their footsteps, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And then seeing, you know, I remember getting off stage at Kamp Fest and seeing people that I never thought I'd see crying, just sobbing, dude. Like when Jim, dude, when Andy's dad went on stage and absolutely murdered, by the way, his speech at Kamp Fest, bro. So, and that was another dope thing too. Like when we were building the set for Kamp Fest, we at one point we're like, all right, well, we gotta get the family on stage somehow. Like, and I think you throughout the day, like, what if they did the encore?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's perfect, dude. So Jim and Lydia and the Chaves, you know, the family walked out on stage, and Jim spoke to the crowd and thanked everybody. And dude, he's just blending the perfect amount of like seriousness with like his comedic, just him being him.
He's a goofball.
And dude, I remember just being side stage when Jim was speaking, and I look over to like the right and left of me, and you got like, you know, Jared, Duddy, Rome, the guys from Iration, Christian Bradmeyer, like everyone just got tears going down their eyes. And I'm like, dude, this is rad. Like, I think that's so sick, because it's like, finally we can all be together and like experience something together that's making us truly feel something. And not only that, but like, I don't know if, I'm sure you got messages like this too, but I got so many messages from people after Kamp Fest telling me about how the experience allowed them to kind of release a lot of stuff that they had been holding back. Or like, you know, I got this one message from this one guy talking about how he lost one of his friends in an accident a few years ago, and he went to Kamp Fest, not even because he was a Catastrophe fan, because he's dating some girl that was like, hey, do you want to go to this show? So he shows up, doesn't even really know who we are or like really fuck with our music, and he has this very intense experience that helped him like cry for the first time since his friend like he lost his friend.
Yeah.
So that level of like how many different things it served at one time, it just blows my mind in a way that like I don't know how that was possible.
Yeah, the energy in the crowd was so different. Like everybody there was there knowing sort of what they were getting into, but I don't think they realized how much we had put into it, and like the production was crazy. I mean, like we got so many people stepped up too and donated like work to us and donated like, you know, lights for discounts and, you know, different things where it's like it was insane, like the amount of people that stepped up. And like
that's what I was saying about the interconnectedness too. It's like you got our homie Jonathan and everyone at Lit, like the lighting group, all the sound people. Just it was wild how many people came to help us.
Yeah, it's just like, but you like saw the crowd and like everybody there was helping each other and everybody was in a good mood, and it was kind of quiet. Like before we went on, like there wasn't a lot of like talking. Nobody was being belligerent.
The
or
attentiveness,
mean, and it's just like this weird, like roar going on. You know,
what I noticed between
it exploded. You know?
Yeah. What I noticed between songs was how everyone was paying attention and they weren't talking. Like it seemed as if the whole crowd was super captivated the whole time.
Yeah, I think we like did a good job of keeping them in our hands, because I was like, I was just like, we can't go out there and talk. Like I don't want this to be like a thing where we are up, you know, talking to the crowd and trying to like stumble on our words, not saying the right thing and do it. It's like we need to make like this set was like a show. It was like more theatrical because, you know, it started in times when we were young and showed a clip like that and then show a clip of us fucking around on tour and like funny. And it was just like, it was this journey that like everybody was there for with us. And then like, I don't know, seeing like footage and stuff from it was, it's just crazy. It's cool that like we have so much shit that we will have forever. You know what I mean? Like Andy's voice is, who's lucky enough to have, like if they lose their friend, to have hundreds of hours of recordings of them singing and talking. And also like, it just made me realize how lucky I was to be a part of something so special. And you just realize like, fuck, like, you know, I was a part of that. And when you were like really realizing like what we did and how close everything was, and like, it's really special and really, really cool. Yeah,
it also showed me. Did you experience this after like maybe Andy's funeral and maybe after Kamp Fest? But I feel like I'm able to experience the band as if I'm not in it, like for the first time ever in my life, or at least like hear our music in a different way to where I'm like, oh wow. Like I remember I had this really crazy moment when we were at that bar after Andy's funeral.
Yeah.
And they had Catastro on all the TVs, and like they were just blasting our music all night. Yeah. And at one point, like all of our friends are around us and like our family, and everyone's like dancing and having a good time and like, you know, really partying for Andy. And I looked at one of my friends and I was like, dude, we're good. Like our music's sick. And it hit me, and like I think the imposter syndrome thing just like crumbled for a moment, and I was just like, dude, we're a good band. Like we're sick. People like us. Like I didn't know people actually really liked us. I just experienced it from like almost like an outside perspective almost.
No, for sure. And like that's what kind of Kamp Fest felt like for me. Yeah. Because I was like, you know, I kept telling myself, like, no matter what happens, like, people will be happy to see us on stage doing well, you know? Yeah. And, like, if we fuck up, it's, like, we'll have more leeway and forgiveness.
Yeah, we'll just blame it on Andy.
Yeah, it's Andy's fault. Like,
it is Andy's fault.
I wasn't able to do it.
if we do anything wrong now as a band, it's just Andy's fault.
Yeah, we can't. I just couldn't. I was thinking about Andy. So
he would like it if we blamed him.
Oh, absolutely. And so, I mean, dude, the amount of time it took before we started making jokes on Andy, just to, like, because that's what we do as a band, is, like, we just had to start being ourselves again, because...
And I think that's what he'd want, man. I
sure,
know it's what he'd want. Like, you know, he loved that.
Yeah.
I mean, still think about it all the time. Like when we're at
talk shit to each other all day. So it's like, I'm going to continue to do that for the rest of my life, because that's how I show my friends I love them.
I'm so used to, like, what I really miss, bro, is like when me and you were in the studio last week, and I think I brought this up, but I'm so used to sitting in the the chair and I'm recording and you guys are sitting behind me, and I'm just so used to hearing Andy say something and then you immediately like come back with something that's just making fun of him.
Yeah.
And him laughing really hard. And like I really miss that back and forth.
Dude.
Because it would always just make us laugh. Like he would like sometimes walk in and try and say something like serious about what's going on in his life, and you'd immediately just like make him laugh by like either making fun of him or like.
Well, that's how we like, I don't know, just always, I mean, we talk about this a lot on the podcast, but it's just, we would always try to say the like, especially between me and him, just like the meanest, worst things to each other. And it got to the like so out of control where it was just like, if anybody heard us right now, like they would think we fucking hate each other. But it's like how me and him like loved each other. You know what I mean? It's just like,
yeah, dude.
We were just constantly back and forth, like trying to like say something more shocking that like if we're both like saying shit to each other and everybody starts laughing a little bit and then you say one thing and everybody just loses it, like that's like you like I win. Like I got that one. And it's just like
it was always a competition to see who could make fun of the other person enough to make everyone laugh the loudest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was so good. It's so funny. So it's like I'm gonna keep that with me forever. I think.
Dude. We gotta like write this stuff down, but there's just so many like memories of tour. Like my favorite memories of just traveling with Andy was just all the funny things in the van, like all the funny discussions we'd have, and then just like the funny stuff he'd do in the hotel rooms, and like dude, I'll never forget that stuff.
I know. I saw
like you trying to explain to him that putting on multiple like hours of white strips is not good for his gums, and that's why he has burning in his mouth.
Yeah, dude, he would fall asleep with fucking white strips in, and I'm like, dude, your teeth are going to go dead. Like, and I actually ended up getting a dead tooth.
Wait,
but
you used to tell him that he had dead teeth all the time, and then you actually got a dead tooth.
I think he did still. I'm staying by it. I think he had a couple dead teeth, but his teeth were so. He's like, my dentist says my teeth are perfect, and I was like, they're not, dude. They're not perfect. They're gonna be so fucked. But he would just like, I don't know, he was so funny and so interesting because he just didn't give a fuck about
that's
anything.
How he'd say it too. He'd say, my teeth are perfect. My dentist said they're perfect.
It was so good, man. Oh, shit. Man, yeah, but I don't know. Life's been crazy. We've done a lot.
Yeah, dude. All right.
I mean, it's been a year pretty much in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, and that's why, to be honest with you, man, even this last week has been really tough for me for some reason. I've just been thinking about Andy a lot, and it's really weird. I don't know if it feels like this to you, but there's a certain element of it being more difficult as time goes by, because sometimes like things will happen where it reminds me that he's really gone, and I still sometimes wake up and feel like it was yesterday.
Yeah,
that we got that phone call, and you know,
I was just in Palm Springs, and like I had to drive, like just being in the same area that you're like, it was difficult, and it was just like, I was like, dude, I feel so anxious and so antsy, like I don't understand what's going on, and then it kind of hits you, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah,
but it's I don't know. I mean, it just comes in waves for sure.
Yeah, and like little funny things too, like Drake will come out with a new song, and like I'm not getting that text message from Andy being like, yo, Chaves, you hear this new Drake song? Or like stuff that we would share with each other immediately if that we were like excited about.
Yeah. I'd always send him shit with Suns, and like we got Kevin Garnett, and I was like, or not Kevin Garnett, sorry, Durant, and I was just like, usually I would just send him all this stuff about the Suns and stuff, and it's just like, who do I like? I don't talk to anybody. Like there's so many things that I would talk to Andy about like every day that like I don't talk to other people about, and so it's like, but in the same time it's like I have you and Tanner, and it's like it's such a mostly unique experience just having it be like your whole career involved with the loss of a friend, that it's like it's very like unique, and not a lot of people know what it's like, and like people try to like help, and it's nice, but it's so different. So it's nice having, at least I have other people, that I know that have been through the same thing.
Yeah.
And also like, I mean, there are other bands that have, like I was talking to, Sublime with Rome and like the members from Sublime, and just about life after that happening. And it's really crazy. And it's kind of cool to just know, like, it is whatever we want to make it, and we can do a lot still, and we still have so much support, and the fans loved us too, and like knowing like that it's not pity when people are doing it. It's like they really care. And I don't know, like I'm excited for the future again, which is a good feeling, because there was, for a lot of this year, I was just scared. And obviously there's still times where I'm just like, I wake up and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Like, what's going on? But I think I've always had that. And so I don't know if that's any different. So
I'm excited for the future too. And I think, going back to like just all the gifts that Andy gave us over all the years, and how we can use those things to move forward into whatever the next chapter of life is. I think surrendering to the fact that for me personally, I think when I do get anxiety, or when I do feel like I'm starting to kind of spiral, it's really just like the ego part of me not accepting the fact that life changes.
Yeah.
And like not wanting to submit to that. And that's just like how the world works, and that's how life works. Things change and people die. Like I could die tomorrow, you could die tomorrow. We both know that now. And it's really hard to hold that though, and not forget that, and find this balance of not letting it make you feel like you're getting fucking crushed, but then also using that to like really put things into action and like do what you need to do. Like start today. Start doing that stuff you need to do today, because I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's like it could be. It doesn't even feel real when you say that, because it's just like, well, we've been alive our whole lives, so it's like, why is it any different? But it's like, after experiencing so much death over the past few years, it's like, I don't know. It's good to like think about it and feel it, and see how you could take some things from it and use them as tools.
Yeah, the hardest part for me is just like letting go of the control. Like I have no control over it.
Yeah.
And as much as I want to sit and be like, why did this happen? I wish it never happened. Like my life is completely different. And like, it is hard. Like we had our whole like life planned out for the next 5 years, and I knew exactly what I was going to do. I knew where I was going to be. I knew, how income was going to be and stuff. And you were just kind of like, to have that turned around and be like, I have no control over this, and it happened, and I can't do anything about it. There's nothing I can do to undo that. You know what I mean? That was the hardest thing, of trying to accept that, like, dude, I just can't change this. And I can either let myself be, mad at myself or feel sorry for myself, or I have to just keep going and like continue with what I was doing and, figure it out.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting to think about how I think human beings, we would like to believe that we know what the best plan is, like for our life, and like how that like we can design the best life and the way that everything should work.
Yeah.
But it's like, like you're really into sound design.
Yeah.
I'm into recording music. There is so many things that go into that. Like even that new synth that you just bought, like you don't fully understand how that works to its fullest capabilities.
Right.
Like you just don't. Like there's so much stuff that it can do.
I don't know if I ever will.
Exactly.
Like so many unknowns.
So my point is, like, I don't know if this analogy works very well, but like why, if you can't even like fully understand like a synth, or I can't fully even understand like some like music recording software, because it has so many different windows of opportunity inside of it, what makes us think as human beings that we know how things should go and that we should be the ones that are designing our own lives? It's like we don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 years. Like we don't know where it's going to take us because of Andy passing away, and like eventually one day we're going to look back at this time period and hopefully understand how much it helped us grow as people and even as friends. Like I feel like I'm a lot closer with you and Tanner after losing Andy, because we had to really stick together and be a family through all this. And
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I told you on the phone the other day. I was like, we the three of us have this thing that none of us want now, and it's the one thing that bonds us even more so is like a very traumatic, experience. So it's difficult, but it's also easier because if we were alone and it was just if it was just
we're lucky,
two
dude.
people,
we're
like
so
we're
lucky.
and we're lucky that we were recording, and we're lucky that we have so much. We've already announced that we are working on our next album, which let's talk about that a little bit, because I've been getting some messages, and I was talking to this guy at a music festival the other day, and I ran into like a fan there, and he's like, how are you guys going to do a new album? Like, who's going to sing for it? And I was like, Andy singing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think, yeah.
I
How
think,
much do we want to talk about?
Well, I mean, let's not say like names or anything, but it's like when
we were in the studio for an entire week leading up to Andy's death. So, we were out in LA working on songs.
With Dirty Heads, yeah.
With Jared and Duddy, because they were helping us like co-write some stuff, and we were just, in the room writing with them.
Yeah.
But before that, we had also been, beginning to write for a new album at our studio in Tempe.
Yeah, we had a handful of things that were just very, very rough demos, and a lot of like scratch vocals. And for like people that don't know what that is, it's kind of mostly mumbling, and it's not the real take, but it's like kind of like the placeholder take where Andy would go in and he would generally just freestyle and mumble things, and then eventually fill those in with words and just find like the phonetics and melodies and stuff.
Yeah. So basically, he'd get on the mic and just let whatever he's got feeling, like let it out. So just kind of a mixture of gibberish and words.
Yeah, and then.
But what's crazy is that a lot of those takes are fire, and a lot of them are real words.
Yeah.
And after Andy died, we got together and we took a trip up to Globe, where one of our producers, the guy that helped us produce the last like 5 Catastrophe albums and mix the last 5 Catastrophe albums, Matt Keller. We went up to his place, and he helped us open up all the sessions and just go through them, because we knew it was going to be like the most intense process ever to have to like I'm opening up my laptop and I'm pulling open all of these vocal takes from all the demos that we have, and we're all sifting through them together and be like, yo, that's cool, grab that. And, we're piecing things together and trying to see how we can make something that we know Andy would still be really proud of and stoked on. And it's so impressive to see how dope his scratch vocal takes are. Like they don't even sound like scratch takes. They're just, he was just dope.
There's so much that was so good. But it's also been like the most challenging writing process. Like, we're not near done on it, but we've made a lot of progress since. And it's just going through and being like, okay, this vocal is really cool, but I don't think the music makes the vocal good. Or like sometimes it's like, there's tracks for sure that we probably normally would have been like, let's just keep writing and see if we can beat it,
Yeah.
And now it's like, this is what we have. So we have this amount of music, and we need to use all of it. And, how can we change the music to change keys so that Andy's vocal lines up this way? And like, it's been so challenging, but it's been really good and fun. And I like, our biggest thing going into this album is just making sure it feels just like the next Catastrophe album. And it's not this like, this is the best we could do. Like, no, this is like the best we could do regardless, even if we were able to continue writing and stuff. So it's been challenging but fun, and I'm super excited for all of that. But we still got a lot of work ahead of us.
Yeah, dude. For me, it's been such an important part of kind of like the healing process and the therapeutic process of working through Andy's death, is being able to work on the music and listen to his voice and know that we're sitting on stuff that people haven't heard, that we know he's excited to release to the world. And I hope that when the stuff does finally come out, that it can be really meaningful to all the people that are listening to it too. And I think I know it will be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
it's gonna be
like
sick.
Every song on it has Andy's voice on it. So it's like there's a ton of we're getting a lot of cool features of like friends and people that we were actually close with and people we fucked with to, you know, do other spots where Andy didn't finish that part of the song.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these songs were like very, very early stages. So we would have put in a lot more work. But like one part of me after we did it was like, damn, like we don't have enough to do anything with really, like right when we got back. And then after we did that, it was just kind of like, we're so lucky to have what we do have. Like we have a lot, and it's like the more we kept diving in and trying to find old things that were like that has potential or that's like usable, that's not usable. It's like once we realize like the amount of stuff that we actually do, we're like, this is real and this is like happening. You know,
and that in itself, I feel like taught me a lot about the band, or how maybe in the previous years we were holding ourselves back because it's like you said, like we didn't think. We were like, dude, do we even have enough to make an album? And then as we dove into everything and started applying ourselves and like really working on something and knowing we needed to do it, it started kind of like just like opening up and working. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It just makes you think. It'll be interesting when the album's done and we can see what kind of positive things came out of us having to kind of work inside of this box and only work with what we have left.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna help it just because we have to
100%, dude.
Really, like I mean, like in the past, like overthinking things has kind of like hurt us and fucked us on like, you know, just overanalyzing everything and being like on things that don't matter. We would always be bad at it. But now it's like this is all we have, so we are like looking at every single aspect. Like, does this benefit it or does it not? Like, are we just adding things to add it, or is this like making this song better? And it's really coming together so well that like, you know, the things that we've done to these songs that originally I was kind of like, I don't know if there's enough there on the song to make it like a real song that I'm going to be happy with. And now I'm like, this song's fucking amazing. Like I could hear people, like I know people are going to love this. It's really exciting. And like, you know, having something for us to work on still and move forward has really been helpful because it would have been a lot scarier.
Yeah. I know for me, it definitely would have been so much harder if we had nothing in the vault and then he died. Yeah. Like, I just don't think that's how he would have wanted to go out either. Like it's we were joking in the studio a couple weeks ago. Like it's almost as if he just like did the lowest amount possible, the bare minimum, and then it was like, yo, peace, you guys handle this. Yeah, which is like studio. The most Andy thing ever. Like when we repainted the studio last year, I like texted everyone, was like, yo, I took everything out of the studio, like we're painting at this time, blah, blah, blah. And Ryan and Tanner are like, yeah, sure, I'll be there then. Even Gonzo, like our manager, he came through and like primed all the walls. And then Andy showed up for about 30 minutes and then he painted literally like a fucking like 5-foot area of the fucking wall. And then he's like, oh, I gotta go get my car washed. And then he just left. Yeah. He would. And I was like, dude, you know what though? You showed up in the way that you know how to, so thank you, Andy. I love you. He would skip
band practice and be like, well, I can't go until 1 because I've got to go to the gym at noon. I was like, go to the gym at 10 and come to the studio earlier. And like, you're not training with like anybody.
You're
like,
not an elite athlete.
Yeah, it's like you're going to a gym that you can go to at any time, but you're saying you have to go at noon. And like it was just so many things that were so frustrating that like fuck, I wish that I could experience that frustration of
but now it like it's just funny. He's hilarious, dude.
I do have a confession. The other day we were in the studio working and I said I could only be there for 3 hours because I was late and I had an important doctor's appointment and I actually just got Botox instead.
Oh my. Is that why you haven't smiled a single time throughout this episode?
Is it super shiny on my forehead?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I thought you were wearing a mask. I was like, all right, dude, if you're embarrassed to show your real face. Guys,
I have this really, really important doctor's appointment that I can't skip. But
did you start getting Botox before or after Andy died?
Before, long before. My wife made me do it once. I went with her. She's like, come with me while I get Botox. And I was like, okay. And then the lady's like, okay, sit down. And I was like, no, this is just for her. And Mont's like, no, this is for you. You need it. And I was like, I'm not doing this. And I lay down and she did fucking Botox on me. And I was like, I think I look better a little bit. And I liked it. And now I'm just like, I think I see a wrinkle, which is so weird because I'm totally not the person that you would think that's fucking that bullshit. But, you know, we're being honest on here. I just had to be honest with you.
Dude, we're honest. We're honest, dude.
I made you guys lose progress on the new album and hold off on your lives so that I could have a lady put fucking poison in my face.
This is what you sign up for when you come to camp, dude. You get crying, you get Botox confessions, and you get what else?
Diarrhea energy.
Diarrhea energy. Those are the golden three.
I think I'm gonna get a mug that says diarrhea energy on it, and then it'll just have my face on the other side.
We're gonna
let you know.
Yeah. Hey guys, we're gonna need those made for the next step.
They said done. Dude, I'm excited to be on this and just be back doing the podcast.
Yeah, this feels good. I'm glad I got the crying out, dude. Maybe we can hold off on that for another few episodes.
Yeah,
but,
can you just not ever do that again though?
Sorry, dude. And I wasn't even sad. I'm happy. I'm happy about it, and that's why I think I'm just like feeling stuff on a different level after he died, and I think I'm still making mistakes, man. I'm still like learning and stuff, and I think we all are going to for a long time, but not you.
Perfect.
You have perfect soul and perfect face because of the
forehead.
Botox.
Yeah, perfect flawless forehead right now.
Did you get the Botox injected into your heart too?
Yeah, I just don't feel anything anymore. It's been fucking great.
It's just
I've been on tea. I've been on tea for about a month now. It's been good. I've just been fucking lifting weights. And I'm just trying to make Andy laugh, you know?
But yeah, I mean, I think this is exciting, doing the podcast in a whole new light.
Yeah, we were... You know, we had done so many episodes of the podcast, and like it really for us was just something cool that we could do for free for our fans, you know. And we got together 100 weeks over the last couple of years of me and you just talking and bullshitting. And we never tried to like promote it really. We never pushed it. It was just kind of for the fans, and I always felt like we could do something bigger with it, but we were so busy with so much other stuff with the band and with touring makes it really difficult, and you know, just different schedules and our lives getting more complicated as we get older and stuff happening. So it's I always thought, you know, we can do something great with this podcast, and I think you know, it worked out that like mutual friends contacted us and told us about their studio, and you know, we worked out with them on how we'd make it happen. And I'm super excited to get this going, to have like high production value and, you know, clips in the future and stuff where we can continue to give people, you know, the podcast and have them see our side. Cause, you know, going back, you can hear the entire story of what our lives have been like for the last 3 years on here.
I know, dude. I mean, I'm sure if I listened to the first like 20 episodes, I would probably cringe at how much of a different person I was a couple of years ago even. You know, I just feel like I've changed a lot, you know. We both have since all that stuff happened. And yeah, dude, it's also for me, I feel like because of how quick everything is with like Instagram and content and just everything's like a second to 2 seconds that you're like consuming all day long. I think it's important to have long form discussions about stuff that isn't just like surface level. I think for me it's super stimulating, and I think it's therapeutic. Like even right now after talking about all that stuff, I feel like I can understand how I feel about it in a different way and better. It's almost like getting the thoughts or the feelings that you have out and just like speaking them to somebody else. It helps you understand it better. Do you?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's like, again, like a lot of the reason in therapy and shit. And it's just like, it's all things that there's so many times over the years where I was not in a good place before Andy died. Like I very honestly was like horrible anxiety. I was like panicking a lot. I was getting to this point where I was almost not leaving my house very often. I was uncomfortable all the time. I was depressed and just unhappy I was like, super unhealthy and drinking a ton. And I was not in a good space. And then when, about a month before Andy passed, I was like, all right, I need to start like exercising. I've never exercised my entire life. And so I was just like doing that. And then boom, it's like, you know, I actually have reason to have all those feelings that I've been having over the last couple of years already. And so it's like, in my mind, it would have been easy to justify continuing to just
self-sabotage.
Yeah, self-sabotage. But like for so much time, I would try to handle shit on my own and like be like, okay, like you need to accept these things. And like, you know, you can read how to do things and like do it. But once you're actually talking, once you say it out loud, even just talking to another person, it's not really having somebody else hear you. It's more you going through the process of how you're forming the sentence together. It makes you look at what you're saying differently. And you kind of learn, like you said, like I understand what I'm feeling more because I said it out loud. And that's something I've really been like learning. And, you know, I'm like all the way better. You know, I still have some anxiety, but like I'm so much further ahead than I was even like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm just trying to, you know, continue because I know we have a lot to do still, and I want to be ready for whatever happens. And like I had kind of given up on myself on a lot of ways, and if you know, I wasn't ready if something I wasn't ready for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And now I kind of want to be more prepared for just anything in my life and, you know, be a little better. I'm still the same me, but I'm just trying to like, you know, be healthier and like take care of myself and like mostly my mental health.
Dude. I think, that like all the therapy I've done since Andy died really just it helped me shift my perspective on everything. And I think that's really the only thing that we do have control over. It's like how we are perceiving things and how we're seeing things. And if you're seeing things as if you're a victim, it's like you're just not gonna experience the gifts that life's throwing at you, I think. And it sounds so weird to say something like that after your best friend dies, like, oh yeah, look at all these gifts that have come out of this. But like, dude, they're there. Like, they're there if you want to see it. It doesn't mean that I wanted Andy to die or like I don't care that he's gone. It's just like I don't want his death to be for nothing. I want to grow from it, and I want to become a better person because of it too. Like what you're saying, it's like it's almost forcing you to re-examine like, oh fuck, what's going on? Like, dude, if I'm not in a good place and then something like this happens, I'm going to be completely fucked and in chaos. But if I can start getting my life together and start taking care of myself physically and mentally, it's going to allow me to raise the bar on like what I'm able to deal with when life throws it at me. Because inevitably, as you get older, what I'm realizing is it doesn't get easier. Like you're going to have to keep taking on more responsibility if you want to live a fulfilling life that's super meaningful and be a person that can eventually be, reliable. And I don't know. It's all those things are intertwined.
Yeah. I kind of had to realize like that what was fucking me up after Andy died really had very little to do with Andy's actual death. And it brought out so much from my past that like I had never dealt with. And I was just like, I was a fucking mess. And I was like, why does this doesn't make sense? Why is this happening? Like nothing made sense to me. And to like just realize like I was just so fragile that everything was affecting me. And then it kind of like makes you like look at everything in my life that I would, I ignore a lot of things. And I realized like, I was so against like conflict that like I would just run from it or I'd ignore it. And I was kind of felt like, look at what my life has become now, where I'm like, I was so unhappy with just like so many aspects of my life that I was just like, I need to work on this because like I can't live like this for long. You
don't deserve to. Yeah, like, you deserve a better.
You can't do
we
that
both
shit.
do, And that's interesting you say that because that's exactly what I was going through too. It was like, yeah. It's super destabilizing. Yeah, no, it's like, dude, I started doing really weird shit. Like, I bought like a fucking, like, I was laying in bed. This was like 2 weeks later. I fucking bought that.
No, I bought.
Is that what you're talking about?
No, I had bought that already.
My best friend died. I bought this raccoon painting.
But I was like seriously all over the place. So like I was laying in bed. And like I didn't like leave my room for like, I gave myself like 2 weeks, and I was like, you can drink, you can be sad, you can do whatever you want that you feel like it. You can, not leave your room. But I was like, after these 2 weeks, you need to start getting some of your routine back. And like, I was like, I allow myself to do whatever I felt like I needed to, get through it, because I was fucking wrecked, but I was laying in bed one day, and I was like, I should get some plants, like some house plants. And I had a online cart for $1,000 of like house plants.
But they're fake?
No, they were all real.
Oh.
And I had never kept a fucking succulent alive. And I realized like right before I was about to order them, I was like, dude, I can't nurture a fucking cactus. Like, I can't keep a fucking cactus alive in the fucking desert where they don't need anything. It's like, I'm about to get $1,000 worth of tropical plants for my inside bedroom in a house that's not even mine. Like, what the fuck am I doing? And I just have these realizations, like, what? And then I would just be like, okay, and I would keep going, and then it'd just be like something else where I was just doing
You're trying to grasp at external things to like
anything
cope
to
with
like
what's going on instead of dealing with it.
Right. It was just like anything of like,
sure.
Oh, that'd be cool. Like, I should do that. And it was just so like, then I'd have those sobering moments where I was like, oh, okay. Like, so like, that's why I bought a new synth and like new computer and stuff, because I was like, this is all stuff that I at least like, I know it's not me being like irresponsible. It's stuff I'll use. It's like, I could write it off on my taxes in the future, all this stuff. But it's like, that gave me like, okay, I'm just going to dive into music. I'm going to start practicing. And like, again, because I hadn't practiced like really for a long time. And I started realizing
dude, I noticed a huge change in you over the past 6-7 months. Like, yeah, dude, you should, I mean, it's hard, dude. It's hard to do that, man.
Yeah, just, and like, I still see like the unhealthy part of like the, holy shit, I need to buy like $1,000 worth of fucking trees. But like, I see that kind of energy coming into like the music stuff. Like, when I first started practicing the bass, like, I started doing it like for hours at a time, like I did when I was a kid, because I was just scared. I was like, dude, I need to get better. Like, if I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that this is going to benefit me if I do this. So I just started doing that, and then I got the synthesizer and like started learning like way deeper sound design, because it was all like the kind with the cables where you have to plug it in and it's like modular.
And you've gotten so fast at that. Like, all the sessions we've been doing with the other artists that we've been producing projects for, it's like, I'll be like, yo, Ryan, I need to sound like this, and it's like 2 minutes later you can like hand design it super quick. So it's interesting how like we're both growing together after we've been through this traumatic situation. And I don't know, like, having other friends and people in your life that maybe like hold you accountable, and not even saying that like we hold each other accountable. It's not like you call me and you're like, hey, are you in the gym today, bro? Like, or like I do that to you, or like try to hold you accountable stuff. But I think the more you try to fix yourself, it starts just automatically changing the people around you, because they start seeing like, oh, maybe I should do that too. Or maybe I should like go start learning a new skill, or maybe, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, life is dope when you look at it like that. Like, what else can I do? What else can I learn? What else can what other skills can I acquire that can make me more beneficial to the world and allow me to interact with it on a better level, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, so like, we were at such this like weird level where like on that last podcast, not only were we talking about that end, but I was just like, I feel like something really good is going to happen to us. And I was just like, I just have this feeling like something really good is about to happen. Like, because there was this
energy,
dude, we were playing, like, we played Red Rocks, and it was like, usually, like, we had played Red Rocks twice before, but this time we had a lot of fans there for us, and we were starting to sell out.
There was Catastrophe shirts everywhere in that amphitheater. It was nuts.
And like, they were there for like, it was packed. It was more people we've ever played in front of at Red Rocks before.
I mean, we were exploding, dude.
Yeah, it's like we were selling out shows in other states, finally, and like, we were getting all these opportunities, and like,
there was something in the air though. We were talking about it right before Andy died. I remember being like, dude, I feel really good about like something great is like happening. Like, let's fucking go, dude. We've been eating shit for 15 years. Like, let's do this. Like,
But like that, obviously, like then it's like, okay, we were a little wrong a little bit, but it's like But after a little bit of time, I started feeling like that again, and I was like, that doesn't have to be over. Like it's going to be different, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
But it's like it's not over. Like the story's different, but it's not over, and like we can still have all those things that we've ever wanted and that we've worked for, and we still have an album. We still have a lot of things to do and like show people, and like. I don't know. I hope even just doing this podcast can be something that people can latch on to. And it's, I want to put a lot of work into this and spread it and make this another thing that is like just a cool aspect of, one of the many things that we're able to do and give to our fans and keep them, show them that we respect them, we appreciate them as much as they appreciate us. So
yeah, man, it's important. And it's fun. It's meaningful. Life is crazy, bro.
Yeah. It's been a
Life
wild
is
ride,
nuts.
Dude. It's been a wild ride, but I am finally like very optimistic about everything. And, this is exciting. And, we have so much cool shit happening still. And it's hard because I wish Andy could be there, but I can't change that, and like. Yeah,
the studio sessions have been such a emotional roller coaster. Yeah. A couple weeks ago, I tracked drums for a song, and I was fine the whole day. I was like, ready to go. And the moment I put the headphones on and I'm playing drums, and all of a sudden I have my eyes closed and Andy's singing, and I'm picturing us on stage playing this new song together, and I just broke down, bro. I just lost it. I was just like, man, there's like moments like that where you have like the amount of tears I've already shed and like how hard I've cried over Andy dying, it surprises me how much is still in there that needs to come out and how much I really miss him.
Yeah, I think the best way we can, honor him and like have our memory is not give up and, continue to just spread the word of like everything we've done. We've done a lot, and we have a pretty crazy story, and I still think that we can have that moment where, I feel like something good is going to happen to us again.
And like, I'm really glad that, Andy's favorite thing in the world, anyone that knows him, not even just the band, but his friends, like his favorite thing in the world was putting out new music. Like he did not, we would finish an album, and then like 2 weeks later, he'd be like, you guys want to like get in there and write? And me and Ryan would be like, dude, we have to market this album. Like, can you relax for a second?
We would finish an album and then he would just be like, all right, cool, let's release it. And it's like, dude, we have to wait like 6 months.
He was always getting in arguments with our managers or everyone about like, yo, we just need to put this out. And to me, that was the dopest part about Andy, that artist side of him that like was such a superpower in a lot of ways. That was like, he really just strictly based like music and stuff off like just how he felt.
Yeah, he didn't give a shit about the business side or like anything. Like we would always would always handle like all the business type of decisions, and it would be so frustrating trying to explain to him. It's like, dude, it will be making it pointless to put this out next week because it won't have the push.
But he was just like,
I think
what it was too though is like, because he was writing about personal things that were going on in his life, I think he wanted to get that out there as soon as possible because that's what he was currently going through. And I can understand that.
He would just be excited.
Yeah, he'd be excited. He'd want people to hear it.
Yeah.
Totally.
So.
And it was like a kid on Christmas when we had new music. He'd be so hyped in the studio, just turning it up. He'd call it, it was called Andy Bump, where he'd be like, yo, let me Andy Bump it. And that meant turning it up so loud to where everyone in the room had to like walk out because it fucking hurt our ears so much.
And he would take videos of it, and it was like, you couldn't fucking hear anything on his camera because it's so fucking loud.
He's like, no, dude, this is how it sounds the best on Instagram. Trust me. And we're like, all right, dude.
You film it sideways and like pretend like he's like touching knobs, and it was just like you can't even hear.
We're gonna have to, when the album comes out, we're gonna have to do an Andy Bump.
Yeah, we will.
We'll rent a venue out. And we'll do a true Andy Bump for the fans too.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But should we wrap this one up?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that was, we had diarrhea energy. We got some Botox. We cried.
Yeah.
I think
you couldn't tell I was crying though.
You couldn't have asked for a better first, welcome back to the Kamp Podcast, the new and improved version. This is Kamp, baby.
Welcome to Kamp.
Out. Peace.